Hi, this is Christopher Jones with Authentic Leader, where I bring out high performance in every leader. In today's video, we're going to continue the conversation we had from the last video, but we're going to talk about real life examples in each one of these quadrants so you can understand what do these things really mean. Not only that, but where are you spending your time right now and where should you be spending your time to ensure high performance. So let's dive right down into it. So in quadrant one, which are those things that are both important and urgent, an example of that is something where maybe someone who you love has just gotten hurt and you have to take immediate action. Maybe they need to go to the emergency room or they have a cut and they have to put a Band-Aid on. I mean, these are things you simply cannot avoid and you cannot put off. You have to take action right now. Another example I like in quadrant one is when you're driving, and I find myself sometimes in this, where I'm driving and I realize that my gas tank is almost on empty and I need to go get gas on my car. I have to go all the way across town, but I simply have to get gas. If I don't, then I'm not going to make it to my next appointment. So that is something that is both important and urgent that I have to take action on right now. Okay, examples in quadrant number two are examples of things that are important, but they simply are not urgent, also called proactive. This is proactive work. An example in quadrant two are taking your to-do list and prioritizing your to-do list. Taking time to actually do that so that you can create marching orders for your day. And really going one step further, another example might be really planning your week. Taking a look at your week ahead, knowing what you've got coming up, planning for the meetings that are coming up, and then where you've got some empty time, where you can take some of the highest value, highest priority activities that are in your to-do list and literally scheduling them and blocking the time in your calendar. All these things are really quadrant two or also called proactive activities. Quadrant number three are those things that are not important, but they certainly appear urgent at the time. So an example of this is someone who is knocking at your door or ringing your doorbell. You have to go find out, is this important? Is it a neighbor who needs me? Or is it maybe a salesman? Another example I find myself in is that I get an email and in the subject line, it appears very urgent. It might even be someone who I know and I respect. And then after I go into it, I realize that title really wasn't what I was looking for. And then quadrant number four are those things that they're not important and they are not urgent. Now, one of the easy ones to talk about here are really TV shows that don't add any kind of value to your time. Now, you might need to veg out for a little bit and maybe watch some TV shows or even educational TV shows. Certainly, you know, those are not necessarily bad, but you know what I'm talking about when you find yourself just kind of maybe binge watching a whole bunch of episodes of some reality TV show that really is not going to make any difference in your life. And really a week from now, you won't even remember it. An activity that a lot of people get caught up in, and you know you've seen this, is gossip. So if you're involved in some kind of gossip, you are truly engaging in quadrant four activities. It's not important and it's not urgent, especially if you're talking with someone who can't do anything about what it is that you're talking about. So now let's just talk about normal performance. How do normal people really operate given this decision matrix? Normal performance really just gets normal results. And I'm here to ask you, do you just want normal results or do you want high performance results? So studies have shown that people spend their time in each one of these quadrants in this way and for normal performance. So in quadrant number one, that's the quadrant that is both important and urgent. People spend about 25 to 30% of their time in that quadrant on those activities. In quadrant number two, those things that are important but they're not urgent, people are spending about 15% of their time of their activities really in quadrant number two. In quadrant three, those things that are not important but they appear to be urgent, people are actually spending about 50 to 60% of their time. So most of your time in normal performance is being spent in quadrant three. And unfortunately, studies have shown that in quadrant four, people are really hanging around maybe 2 or 3% really in quadrant number four. Now let's just talk about high performance. If you really want to get high performance out of your activities, this is how you can spend your time in each one of these quadrants. Now, first off, in quadrant one, those are those things that are both important and urgent. Unfortunately, I don't have a magic pill that will totally eliminate those. There's no way to totally eliminate emergencies because we are humans and we live in an imperfect world and things are always going to arise. However, you can reduce that to about 20 to 25% of your time if you're really good at this. Now, the real focus is in quadrant two. This is where you have proactive engagement and activities that will really help move you forward. And we're talking about increasing your performance so that you're spending 60 to 85% of your time in Quadrant 2. Now remember, Quadrant 3 are those things that are not important, but they appear to be urgent. And what happens is when you shift all that time and focus on Quadrant 2, it does have a significant impact in Quadrant 3. High performers actually are able to get their time in Quadrant 3 down to about 15%. And then lastly, Quadrant 4, those things that are not important and they're not urgent. High performers are really spending less than 1% of their time here. So if you happen to be spending 5% or more in Quadrant 4, I'm here to tell you, you simply are not going to be able to be a high performer. You've got to eliminate that. In the next video, we're going to be talking more about specific things that you can actually do, actually tools and strategies you can implement to ensure that you are increasing your performance and your focus on Quadrant 2 proactive activities. Make sure you go to christopherrjones.com/download 717 to download the companion worksheet that goes along with all of these videos. Until the next video, bring out high performance in your leadership.